Okay, we got some live breaking news, everybody. President Trump has just posted this video himself where he literally says point blank that the divider in chief, Barack Obama, will be facing justice finally. We had the Tulsi Gabbard press conference. This was, over a month ago. She said she's the director of national intelligence, so she had all this evidence. We all know in our hearts and in our blood, because we bleed red, white, and blue, that he's a traitor, he's a treasonous pig. But she confirmed that he was the architect of the 10-year-long sham called Russiagate, the Russia hoax. And I'm going to play this for you. President Trump saying what we all want to see happen. Accountability. Is it finally going to happen? Watch.
President Obama, absolutely cold. Tulsi Gabbard, what they did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. When we caught Hillary Clinton, I said, you know what? Let's not go too far here. It's the ex-wife of a president, and I thought it was sort of terrible. And I let her off the hook, and I'm very happy I did. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The papers are signed. The papers came right out of their office. They sent everything to be highly classified. Well, the highly classified's been released. And what they did in 2016 and in 2020 is very criminal. It's criminal at the highest level. So that's really the things you should be talking about. I know nothing about the other, but I think it's appropriate that they do go.
May I ask you about that, Mr. President? Tulsi Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read, and I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him, and Comey was there, and Clapper, the whole group was there. Brennan, they were all there in a room. Right here, this was the room. This is much more beautiful than it was then, but that's okay. I have nice pictures up that came out of the vaults. They were in there for 100 years. This is much more beautiful. We have the Declaration of Independence now in the room, which wasn't here. I guess people didn't feel too good about putting it here, but I do. But you know what? If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life, that's the one they... Look, he's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. You've seen some pretty rough countries. This man has seen some pretty rough countries, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction. And they used that. The one thing they weren't able to do was and probably the only thing I respect about the press in years is the press refused to write it before the election. They refused to put it in. The Steele report was a disaster. All lies, all fabrication, all admitted, and admitted fraud. She paid $12 million, and the Democrats, for that report to a wise guy named Christopher Steele. He wrote a phony report, and they wanted to get that report in before the election. And I'll tell you what, I talk about all the time, the fake news, how bad it is. But in this case, they wouldn't do it. They saw it, they read it, and they said, we don't believe it. And it was only after, substantially, like a month and a half after the election, that it got printed, and it was a big wisp. It was just like a bang of nothing, because the election had ended. If that report had gotten published by the New York Times or somebody, and I respect the Times for maybe only this, because they're crooked as you can be. They're a terrible paper, a crooked, corrupt paper. But for this one moment, they said, this is bullshit, we can't put this in. And neither could any other paper. Wall Street Journal's a lousy paper, very, very dishonest paper. As you see, I'm suing them for a lot of money because they do things very badly. It's got a nice name, but it's really, in my opinion, it's a terrible paper. And it can be corrupt. But just so you know, they didn't take the Steele report. It was the dossier. Remember the famous dossier? I called it the fake news dossier. The news wouldn't publish it. And I'm amazed. They had 2.5 months. It was finished. 2.5 months. That was supposed to be what was going to happen. And it got published a couple of months after the election. And frankly, nobody cared too much about it. But that was a big thing. No, we caught Hillary Clinton. We caught Barack Hussein Obama. They're the ones. And then you have many, many people under them. Susan Rice. They're all there. The names are all there. And I guess they figured they're going to put this in classified information and nobody will ever see it again, but it doesn't work that way. And it's the most unbelievable thing I think I've ever read. So you ought to take a look at that and stop talking about nonsense, because this is big stuff. Never has a thing like this happened in the history of our country. And by the way, it morphed into the 2020 race. And the 2020 race was rigged, and it was a rigged election. And because it was rigged, we have millions of people in our country. We had inflation. We solved the inflation problem. But millions and millions of people came into our country because of that. And people that shouldn't have been, people from gangs and from jails and from mental institutions, people that we don't want in our country, and people that we're getting out, dangerous people. 11,888 murderers, many of them 50%, more than 50%, murdered more than one person. I hate to say this with such a distinguished guest, but you know, they asked me a question. I got to answer the question. No, Barack Hussein Obama is the ringleader. Hillary Clinton was right there with him, and so was Sleepy Joe Biden, and so were the rest of them. Comey, Clapper, the whole group. And they tried to rig an election, and they got caught. And then they did rig the election in 2020. And then because I knew I won that election by a lot, I did it a third time, and I won in a landslide. Every swing state won the popular vote. But I won that all the same way in 2020. And look at the damage that was caused.
You know, not one single word uttered by the president was untrue. Everything he said was absolutely right, including the 2020 election, 100%. There's no way in a billion years anybody could convince me that that vegetable in chief got 15 plus million more votes than the Black Messiah, Barack Obama. No way in a billion years anybody could convince me of that. I went to bed that night, that fateful night, on election night in 2020, Trump was ahead in Wisconsin. He was ahead in Pennsylvania. He was ahead in Michigan. He was ahead in Ohio. I thought, that's it. It's over. And by large percentages, I went to bed. Thank God our country is going to be saved. And I wake up the next day to the cackling DEI hire. We all heard it. We all remember it on the phone. You did it, Joe. And I was utterly devastated. I remember it was a mournful time in our house, and the consequences of that rigged election were felt immediately, not just in our everyday personal lives, but our professional lives and policy, initiative, a global standing. I mean, it was immediate. The whole world was mourning, at least anybody who had a molecule of intelligence in their head. And so everything that Trump said there, but man, this is the most direct. this is the most emphatic I've heard him as he's directed his strong, deep desire, as well as all of us really, to see Obama face some kind of justice. And that referral by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard was over a month ago, and we still have no action. I left a poll on my community tab, and I want to ask you guys this in sincerity. What has this House Republican, this Congress Republican, conglomerate that has had unprecedented momentum and power? We have both chambers, the House and Senate. What have they done since President Trump has become president? Can you name me one achievement, two achievements, three achievements, any achievements since they've had power and all this cultural momentum? And then also, I want to share this when it comes to Obama. I've said this once and I'll say it again. I truly believe that Barack Obama is the greatest mistake this country has ever made. If you were like me and you felt like even before 2008, America was somewhat normal, you could still talk to people about your differences. You still had Democrats or Republicans or independents or Green Party or whatever as friends, neighbors, community members, whatever, that you still respected, you could still talk to. And it seemed like the temperature of the country was just like kind of it always was. Sometimes our guys lost and sometimes their guy won, or our guy won and their guy lost. Life moved on pretty, unweathered and untampered with. But man, if you're like me and you felt like ever since Obama was elected in 2008, there's been a strange, almost unspeakable, mystical change in the air in America, and not a good one. If you're like me, I feel like that feeling, it's very hard to articulate, but it's there. It's sort of a nebulous kind of sense of they versus us, or us versus them. It's sort of this mounting energy that just electrifies the atmosphere, that, hey, if you don't look like us, or if you don't agree with us, you're going down, man. That kind of vibology, to me, started after 2008. And it's been here pervasive ever since. Remember, they've had power over our country 12 of the last 16 years. We finally got it back. Thank God Almighty, we finally got it back. And then lastly, I want to ask you this. Leave a comment. Do you think that Bondi, the Department of Justice, is going to heed President Trump's words? He posted something. I covered this. I can't remember, 4 or 5 days ago, 6 days ago, where he actually called out Pam Bondi in front of the whole world. Said, what's happening here? Do something. Like, where is the indictments of Letitia James, Adam Schiff? There's obvious mounting evidence, clear-cut evidence of mortgage fraud, of corruption, etc. Obama, he called her out. I mean, he kind of quickly sort of backpedaled and said she's doing a good job, but we all know what he meant because we all feel it. I feel the exact same way. I feel like not enough is being done. Am I the only one that feels that way? Let me know in the comments down below. It sounds to me that Trump is really, really hell-bent and more serious now than ever of seeing some retribution, seeing some reciprocity of all the stuff that they flung at him, all the sham trials, the assassination attempts, the smears, the debanking, the decrediting, the defaming, imprisoning. They tried to imprison him. Everything that they've done to, he is now saying, you know what, enough is enough. And I don't know. I feel the same way. I'd love to get your thoughts on this. One thing that's interesting to note here is that Obama is making his presence a lot more pronounced, even though I think he's lost a lot of credibility after his lazy lies at the end of the 2024 election, especially propagating the they're good on both sides hoax, which was a complete hoax, debunked like so concretely. And he's still, at the end of the 2024 election, he still propagated this outright lie But he's making his presence a lot more known. He's endorsing this ridiculous proposition to help Gavin Newsom rig California elections for God knows how long. He's endorsing Prop 50. Everybody vote no on Prop 50, please, for the love of God. But it's interesting. These old foes are coming out, butting heads again, and it's going to be interesting to see. Trump's got all the leverage, I think, and I hope to God justice will finally get served. I can't wait to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Tap that thumbs up if you love America. Don't forget to check out these videos over here. Just in case you missed them, tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. It's absolutely free. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.